Alright, welcome back to some more Tatarigoroshi. Well, where I last left off, Mio Takano decided to ruin things, and, well, I think I did all the tips from what I can remember. But, yeah, I'm supposed to move on to chapter 11. I did record a reading of it, and then all of a sudden I accidentally deleted the part, and now I have to re-record the damn shit. What a goddamn shame on me. So, let's continue. At first, I thought it was a dream. I was staring at this strange sheet, not really understanding what it was. That was all. I didn't go after it, nor did I ridicule it. The fact was that the boring view was the ceiling of my own room, but I didn't realize that for a fairly long time. Yes, I thought I had been dreaming, but I had actually been staring at the ceiling the whole time. Lethargy induced by the voices of the cicadas. Even after I realized I was awake, I couldn't draw forth the energy to sit up. Everything I could see, everything I could hear, everything was like a television broadcast that had already ended. It was hot, so hot I could choke on the heat. My back was moist with night sweats and it felt gross. Unable to endure it any longer, I tossed in my futon and finally, blood started coursing through my brain. I lazily recalled the long day I had yesterday. The reality, as I lay here listening to the voices of the cicadas and yesterday, is so different from it. In order to kill Satoka's uncle, I had rehearsed, formulated a plan, and dug a hole. It was very hot, and I was tired, wasn't I? And when evening came, I went to school and called him out on the phone. I panicked for a moment when he asked where the police station was, but it worked out. And then I awaited him and swooped down. I couldn't remember anymore what sort of emotions I had let control my body. In any case, it didn't go smoothly, but I did it. It was very hard to dig the hole for the body. That feel of the rain pelting down on me, I don't think I'll ever forget it. The rain, the mud, and the sprays of blood. The sensation of floundering in the swamp. When I met Takano-san on the way home, that wasn't good, no matter how I interpreted it. It was the most misfortunate and uncalculated thing that had happened that night. Everything would have been perfect if only I hadn't encountered her. I was just riding my bike with my shovel in one hand through the downpour, utterly soaked. There was no way someone could surmise I was a murderer burying a body just from that information. Now that I was thinking calmly, napping under the morning sun, that's what I thought. Still, the more I think about Takano-san's eyes, it seemed like she understood. Takano-san, she knew that I killed someone, buried them, and that I had been on my way home, exhausted. Takano-san wouldn't gain anything from selling me out to the police, but that didn't mean I could feel at ease. I should have killed her. I had crossed such a bridge to get my tranquil life back, and I had finally achieved it as a result. But now, for the rest of my life, for all the tranquil days starting today, I'd have to live in fear of when they could suddenly end. I may have twisted my ankle, dulled from total exhaustion. The fact that I couldn't make the snap judgment I needed to, I regretted it more and more as time went on. You didn't have a choice, Keiji Mabara. You didn't have any choice at the time. You were tired, you were a mess. Even if you had made the decision, you might not have been able to kill her. She might have just beaten you instead. In that sense, parting ways uneventfully could have been the safer option. No matter how sharp Takano-san's intuition was, she had no proof. Her suspecting me didn't amount to evidence by itself. Logically, I know that, but that doesn't mean I have nothing to worry about, does it? Well, you could say that. Just worry about it when the time comes. Now isn't the time to be worrying. It's the time to be smiling, right? You accomplished so much just to gain a new life starting today, didn't you? Then you should be happy at this new morning. If remembering the past is too hard for you, then just consider everything up to yesterday as having never happened. You said so yourself. Bury it all like it never happened. Well, your wish came true. Everything before yesterday never happened. So be happy, Keiji Mabara. Yay. I stuck up my hands lazily. It felt a little silly for me to be the one doing it. I heaved a sigh from deep in my belly. That sigh got my lungs moving. Felt like I hadn't been breathing until just now. It wasn't enough to admonish myself over. All the dice that could be thrown away had been, and the numbers that had turned up weren't bad at all. If I lost with those numbers, then I just have to give up, I guess. I grabbed the chest of my pajamas and flapped it back and forth. Cool air flowed over my sweating body. Okay, nothing before yesterday happened. Nothing. Nothing at all. I'd forget it all. Yesterday was all a dream. What time was it? About midday? Getting myself up and going to school this late seemed kind of absurd. But I needed to go. I felt like going to school would be the first step into my peaceful new life. I didn't care how late it was, I would go. I'd go to school right now and get back to the life I had retaken as soon as I could. My lazy body immediately became lighter at the thought. I rolled up out of the futon, bounced onto my knees, then leaped upright. Nice. Stuck the landing. I stuck out my chest with pride at my gymnast-like pose, then took a deep breath of fresh air. The brisk morning air had been gone for a while, replaced by the crisp air of summer. Downstairs, I got a stern talking to by my mother. Where were you last night? When did you get back? You need to tell me when you won't be home for dinner, things like that. But considering the importance of what I had accomplished yesterday, a little scolding was no problem. In fact, it even felt like the sort of thing that would happen in such a peaceful life. I listened with an irresponsible smile and stepped out into the sun high overhead. It was around the time lunch break would be ending. Everyone would probably be worrying about me. I didn't go to the festival, and now I wasn't at school. Oh, ain't that a bitch. Now I wasn't at school. Well, maybe they weren't too worried about it, since they would have gotten a small piece of news, but a happy one from Satoko today. Yes, the small piece of news that her uncle hadn't come home last night. Satoko would probably live her days in nervous tension for a while, thinking he might still come home. But eventually those days would end, and finally Satoko too would realize her uncle was never coming back. And then Rika-chan would quietly invite her. She would say, "You can live with me again," and everything would be back to normal. Our lives would go back to how they were before that man appeared. Satoko would start wearing that extraordinary smile, complete with those protruding canines, and fool everyone with those traps she was so proud of. I'd probably be her first target out of everyone, but I wouldn't be mad. In fact, I might actually shed tears of joy at the return of something so normal. Ain't that right? Something so normal. Satoko, she gradually grew back into that meddlesome personality of hers. I mean, my lack of useful life skills was already completely exposed. I wondered if I'd ever be a match for Satoko. But that would be such a pleasant thing to see, too. And with such warm, fuzzy predictions, I didn't feel bad for going to school so late. In fact, I wanted to run there now to get there as soon as I could. Instead, I decided to savor the peacefulness of just going to school like normal, without running. The world I had attained for myself that gave me joy just by walking like this. Yes, the world beginning on this very day was something I'd won. Without that monumental feat yesterday, I would never have been able to come to school so cheerfully today. The school gate came into sight. Just then I heard the principal ringing the bell to mark the end of lunch break. It was a clear, refreshing sound. I stopped despite myself and let myself take it in. Tap. I had stopped suddenly, so there was an extra footstep. Gee, what? Who was that? With a noise, the blessedness I was feeling throughout my whole body withdrew into any pore it could find, and as if to replace it, I felt like hundreds of hairy caterpillars were climbing up to my feet. I turned back, but of course nobody was there. A single footstep could have easily been my imagination, but the footstep felt so ominous. That extra footstep I had heard after seeing Takano-san off last night. With everything that happened on that insane night, I didn't mind something like that happening once. It had been a hell of a night after all. In fact, having just one hallucination was pretty fortunate. But those footsteps should have ended with yesterday, so I heard them again today. There was really only one thing it could have meant. Last night still wasn't over. It was still going. Still, that insane night forever. The step I heard, just that one extra footstep, was quietly ridiculing the nonsensical notion that the world starting today was completely different from the one that ended yesterday. My classmates playing in the schoolyard all vanished inside like the tide going out. What a nice comparison right there. Tide going out. When I approached the school, it felt like that warm, fuzzy scene had ended and it didn't feel good. At the entrance, I took a quick look in everyone's shoe boxes. Satoko Hojo, she was here. Mion was here too, and Reina, of course. Even Rika-chan was here. Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun were here. In fact, I didn't see any missing classmates. If there were shoes missing, they would have to be my own. I took my shoes off and stuck them in, then took out some slippers. There wasn't a single pair left in the shoe boxes anymore. With that, they returned to their rightful state. But as I stepped onto the wooden floor, I noticed there was just one pair of slippers left. Huh. Whose? Satoshi Hojo. Satoshi, who had never been to school since disappearing last year. Until now, we had committed the exact same act of violence, but I guess in the very end it went differently. You couldn't make it to school, but here I am. I didn't repeat the same mistake you made. I wasn't about to let myself feel superior about that. In fact, I felt an odd sense of familiarity with him, a misfortunate bond with someone I never met due to following the same fate. I headed down the hallway, towards the usual classroom. It felt like it had been a whole year since coming here. Hey, did you forget Keiichi Mabaru? Satoshi Hojo didn't really disappear on the night of Watanagashi, did he? Now they're just playing mind games with me. Satoshi Hojo disappeared a few days later, on Satoko's birthday if I was right. I didn't know what day it was, but I couldn't say for sure I avoided Satoshi's failure unless I remained here past that day. I was still living in that night of insanity. The teacher still hadn't come to the classroom. The other door clattered open, the one the teacher wouldn't use, so everyone turned at once to see who had arrived. Everyone looked pretty decent. Suppose I'll greet them. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do thank you for coming all the way out here today. Silence. When I started to think I'd fallen flat, someone finally started laughing for me. Good morning, Kei-chan. You're pretty energetic today. Yeah, energetic. Maybe you haven't gotten out of the festive mood yet. Oh. Hearing Mion and Reina's cheerful voices made me realize how dumb those dark feelings I'd been having at the entrance really were. Hey now, festive mood? I wasn't at the festival at all, remember? Before I could say that, Rika-chan smiled at me. Keiichi, did you make sure to watch my dance? Yep, he saw it just fine. Didn't you see how big an applause he gave you? And he ignored it when that blockhead Shion came up and made a pass at him. Ha 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 ha. Take that, Shion. Wow, that felt good. Mion starts laughing at the memory as she slaps me a few times on the back. Wow. So, how did that target practice contest turn out in the end? Tomita-kun was facing me and talking. There was nobody behind me. That meant he was talking to me? Tomitaki turned up dead last. Everyone had a good time with this punishment game. I don't like it how the eerie sound mixes with the, how should I call it? The peaceful music of it. God damn, it doesn't go well. Weren't you supposed to be the one in last place, Rika-chan? That was such a turnaround when you pulled off getting that chewing gum. I should have expected that from a member of my club. It was fantastic. Crying at a time like that is a feat only Farood would be allowed to do, said Okamura-kun, breathing heavily from his nose, in my direction. Everyone laughed. If anyone but Rika-chan had done it, it would have been against the rules. Rika-chan gave one of her nipa smiles as she listened to it, in my direction. Reina too turned towards me. Then, with a somewhat embarrassed smile, She whispered to me so only I could hear. But really, thanks, Keiichi-kun. For what? That giant stuffed animal. I was really happy. It's nice and safe right at my bedside, and I made sure to give it a good night kiss before bed too. Oh, oh God. The class laughed at that, cheering and jeering. This whole time, the conversation had been a little bit off. I wasn't quite getting it. What's this about a stuffed animal? What's this? Come on, we all worked really hard at the festival yesterday to get it down, remember? I don't think the real Keiichi knows what the hell you guys are talking about. The gigantic stuffed animal. The gigantic stuffed animal. Reina seemed taken aback, but when she answered it, she did it with a smile. We were having a hard time knocking it over, so we tried aiming at the forehead and rapid fire shooting and stuff. And then Keiichi-kun, you got a whole bunch of guns ready beforehand and shot them all. It was so cool. Oh. Wait, who was this? All the people in the neighborhood association, including the chairman, were praising you so much at the party afterwards. One of them said he'd fall in love with your way with words. Tokozo Kimiyoshi, the chairman of the children's committee, I think. He said he wanted you to entrust you with a few of the stalls at the next festival. Tokozo is the chair of the refreshment booths. He's on the festival executive committee. My brother sounds great at making things sound good, isn't he? Yep, whenever he talks about something, it seems a lot better than it actually is. Can't say that. Keiichi-kun, you'd be a great salesman. If you did a bargain sale of bananas or something, I bet it would go great. Bargain sale bananas. What have you been talking about? I mean, I didn't go to the festival in the first place. I swallowed those words. I didn't know exactly why, but in Hinamizawa, this is what had happened. Yesterday, during the Watanagashi festival, Keiichi Mibara had appeared, and he had romped about with all the usual members of his club. He made a big scene at the field of the stalls. Snatched a few sticks of takoyaki and okonomiyaki, whatever the word is, in his glee, rating each of them as delicious or terrible to get everyone excited. And they'd seen a gigantic stuffed animal at the target practice game, and everyone went after it. Then I got a whole bunch of the cord guns, firing them in rapid succession, throwing each one away after using it. And admirably, I shot down the biggest stuffed animal there. And then I gave the stuffed animal the proof of my victory to Reina as a gift. Then our fun came to a close as we had to go see Rika-chan's offertory dance. Oh yeah, I remember that. That reminds me of the first chapter. Or was it the second chapter? It could be the second chapter. Yeah. There was a ton of people squeezing there, and we all got separated, but we each managed to get into good positions to cheer Rika-chan on from. Then in the middle, when Shion came up and asked me to go hang out with her instead of watching the dedication dance, I refused, and stayed put, watching the dance until the very end. Oh God, poor Shion. She wanted his dick. But who? Who was that? Well, everyone's been saying it, haven't they? Keiichi Maibara. I had an urge to yell in anger at my classmates for having so much fun talking about the festival yesterday with so-called Keiichi Maibara. What the hell are you guys even talking about? Far stronger than that feeling, though, was the sheer, uncanny nature of this reality I couldn't understand. A Keiichi Maibara who wasn't me was in Hinamizawa yesterday. As I threw away my humanity, turned into a demon, and was busy beating Satoka's uncle to death. I was having a great time at the festival last night. What the hell? I had to suffer through so much, desperately holding back tears, getting so worn out in that downpour, digging holes, chasing, beating, killing, dragging, and burying. Who was this Keiichi Maibara who had ignored me so and spent such a fun, carefree time at the festival, damn it? Who Who the hell stood in for me as I put my life on the line, working so hard to achieve this treasure-like everyday life? If there was another Keiji Marbara besides me, then what was I? On the night of Tanagashi, when one died and one disappeared, in accordance with the Yashiro-sama's curse, there was only a demon who had killed someone. Dumbfounded, as I succumbed to a horrifying possibility, I looked around at my classmates to make sure there was nobody extra I didn't recognize among them. To make sure I wasn't among them. Didn't recognize among them, to make sure I wasn't among them. To make sure I wasn't... It was a horrifying thought that the real Keiji Marbara hadn't overslept and had come to school in time, and that I, who was no longer Keiji Marbara, had just waltzed in here. But no matter how much I checked, the only people here were ones I knew. The man I met every time I looked in the bathroom mirror was not here. Okay, everyone, time to start afternoon classes. Please take your seats. President, please lead the class. The teacher entered and everyone hurried back to their seats. Upon finding me, who was so stupidly late, she gave me a stern talking to, but I wasn't listening to it. Wasn't our old life supposed to start today? Something wasn't right. It was just strange. I was supposed to go back to my old fun life after yesterday. I had set foot in an incomparably mysterious world that was completely different from both my old life and my recent one. Yes, this was without a doubt a different world than the one I'd been living in until now. There was no way such an absurd thing would be possible, but unless it was true, I couldn't explain anything that just happened. In this classroom, I was surrounded by so many faces I knew, and yet I felt isolated. The cicadas sounded no different than they had before now, but they seemed somehow false. The air was parched and dry too, making me think, was the air in Hanamizawa always this uncomfortable? Hey, Reina. What is it? We're in class. About the festival yesterday. About when would you say I got there? Huh? To be honest, I was pretty excited afterwards and I gobbled down some cans of beer. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't quite remember some things. For random battling, it wasn't a bad excuse. Hey, Ichi-kun, you said you couldn't come at first, didn't you? You called Michan's house about it, right? That matched. I called Mion and told her to take Satoko to my place, since I wouldn't be able to meet up with them due to things I had to do. We all decided while we were setting up for the festival that we'd invite Satoko-chan. We wanted to bring her out someplace where she couldn't see her uncle for a little while. That was the same too. Mion said that when I called her, that everyone had already decided to invite her. And then we all went, Mi-chan, and Rika-chan to Satoko-chan's house and brought her out. Satoko-chan's uncle seems like a really mean person. Well, no shit. That part didn't matter. What I was trying to ask was, when did I meet up with you? How could you forget that? Keiji-kun, I think you shouldn't be drinking until you're an adult. Whatever. When did I meet up with you? After my sudden threatening demand, Reina was at a loss for words. Oops, I shouldn't have rushed that. I told her I was sorry. It was at the shrine grounds. It was unexpected. You were talking to Rika-chan, weren't you? Yep, you were having a fun talk with Rika-chan in her shrine maiden outfit. And then Reina came up and said, "Oh, I'm taking you home." Oh god. I was talking to Rika-chan. And I asked, "Kei-chan, didn't you have something to do today?" Then you pounded your chest and said to yourself that letting loose at a festival was more important than some silly errand. I didn't say that. I never said anything like that. I never even went to the shrine grounds yesterday to begin with. I never had the time to stop by a place like that. I went to dig the hole as soon as I woke up. I had a pretty hard time doing it. Oh my god. I had a pretty hard time doing it. Ooh, Jesus. After that, I snuck into the school and made a call. I called him out and lay in wait. And then it started raining really hard. With that kind of downpour, the festival should have come to a halt. In other words, it ended then. from the time the festival started to when it ended. It would have been impossible for me to have swung by the shrine grounds. I was already there when Mion and the others dragged Satoko out and brought her to the shrine, and I was talking to Rika-chan. Then, where would Rika-chan say we met? The teacher went out to wash her hands, so I ran over to Rika-chan's desk and asked her directly. With you? Yeah, we were talking to each other before Mion and the others got there, right? When did we see each other? When and where? I don't know what you're trying to ask. I drank so much beer I drank so much beer to the point I lost some of my memory. I don't remember a thing. It looked like Rika-chan bought into my babbling. We saw each other when the mayor and the others came out of the assembly hall. You were in front of the ritual implement storehouse. Huh? What? The ritual implement storehouse? Yeah, man, you don't even know what it looks like in the previous chapter? Where it's like it's forbidden from going in there? Nah, I'm kidding. There's no way it would happen in chapter 3. It only happens in like Watanagashi and some shit. I never heard of a building called that before. Yeah, sure you do. Or maybe I have, but at the very least, I wouldn't know where on the shrine grounds it was. The mayor got real angry at you since you shouldn't go near holy places without authority, remember? Keiichi, did you forget that too? I was too scared to ask anymore. The more I asked, the more it became clear without any doubt that Keiichi Mabara was present at the Farood Shrine Grounds during the Watanagashi Festival. The clearer that became, the more doubts, no fears I had. Who on earth was I yesterday? Whoever that was, he had a good time in my place. I managed to go to the entire day without letting them know I wasn't there. Oh right, when did that person leave everyone? This morning, my mother got mad at me for having stayed out so late last night, which meant at the very least that Keiichi Mabara hadn't come home while my mother was still awake. The festival would have been closed because of the downpour. If I recall right, when I went back to the house's storage room to get another shovel, I think the clock said 7. Since it was already raining hard by then, the festival would have had to close down before 7. If I'd returned that early, I would have definitely run into my parents. Or at the very least, they wouldn't have asked me when I got back last night. So the Keiichi Mabara from yesterday, that meant he never went home. That meant the downpour happened, the festival was broken up, everyone left. But he didn't go back to the house. That means... When I arrived at the natural conclusion, a wicked chill suddenly froze my spine and climbed up to my brain. Oh, Lord. That meant Keiichi Mabara was the same as Satoshi. One day he never went home. On the night of Watanagashi, he never went home. The downpour interrupted the festival, and on the way home, he suddenly disappeared. And I, who was dealing with the corpse, went home without a problem. I was so tired I wasn't even hungry, so I went up to my room without a sound and crawled into my futon. Who was I? Oh god. That much was obvious. Keiichi Mabara was me. There may have been another one, but that doesn't negate the fact that I was Keiichi Mabara. Then that other Keiichi Mabara was what? The voices of the cicadas, steadily filling the classroom, were beginning to bother me. Suddenly, I laid eyes on Satoko. Satoko's expression was dark as always. She seemed completely exhausted at the life of agony she couldn't even imagine an ending to. What had last night been like for Satoko? Did she have fun with everyone and feel a little happier, if even for a moment? And when she went home, the end of her dream, she probably got to sleep afraid of when her uncle would return. Oh god. And then this morning, her uncle hadn't come home, and then she went to school. Right now she must have been still trapped by the rotten idea from which she couldn't be saved, that her uncle would need her when she got back. But you can rest easy, Satoko. Your uncle will never be coming back. I couldn't tell her it was because I killed him. When Satoko realized on her own that her uncle would never return, then that would truly be the end of the long, insane night. That's right, I didn't do anything wrong. I did the best possible thing I could have as Satoko's niece. Not an atom in my body regretted it. And look, calm down and think, Keiichi Mabara. From a certain point of view, isn't it convenient there was another Keiichi Mabara? I buried the corpse perfectly. A beginning wouldn't happen, but if worst came to worst and it got out, and the investigation got to me, I now had a strong alibi, able to profess the fact that I'd been at the Watanagashi festival. But it's something so creepy, I'm using it as an alibi. Still, if I proved I hadn't gone to the festival yesterday, it would do no good and a whole lot of harm. That was what left a really, actually bad aftertaste. You'll forget about it, Keiichi Mabara. Everything that happened before yesterday. So just forget about the Keiichi Mabara who was there yesterday too. Instead, let's watch gently over Satoko for the day her smile returns, and the day that would mark the end of that insane, all too long night. That's all for today, class. Please go straight back to your homes, everyone. President, if you would. Everybody stand up. At attention. Bow. Goodbye. I thought about many things and saw my thoughts dispersed by many other things. I didn't know whether or not that time had been spent worrying or daydreaming, but either way, it came to an end along with the class. Well, now it's a good time for me to end it here. So next part, let's figure out what will happen. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys later. Have a good one.